Because you know there's a handful of people actually run everything. That's true. It's provable. Not
It's
conspiracy.
all about control. To them we just cattle, numbers, battling each other while they creeping in the shadows, scheming, plotting, clocking your every move, locked in your mind, brainwashed until it's rocking. Got the population operating as they want them, symbolically mocking them, thinking nothing can stop them. So open your eyes to the lies of the evil, the poison in the minds and the lives of your people. And every time they lead you down a line to deceive you, and by then it's always too late to see through the veil that they hide behind, cause your third eye is blind. Better take a stand, we running out of time. Ain't nobody coming to save us, fuck what you had in mind. Arm yourself with the truth and jump behind the battle line. Can we turn it around? Yeah, it's possible. Dividable or fall, but united we're unstoppable. This is for the world, this is for the masses, attached to the strings being pulled by puppet masters. This is for the youth, searching for the proof, keep on looking for the clues, I'll provide you with some truth. This is for the ones waking up from the spell, beginning to discover themselves. Yeah, this is for the youth, searching for the truth, keep on looking for the clues, I'll provide you with some proof. Hey yo, the stage is set, the game is rigged, the system isn't broken, it was designed this way, and only the blind obey, give their mind away to these political, parasitical, cynical, criminal-minded individuals, getting you to surrender your freedoms to the hands of the state, with every boogeyman they create, playing they order out of chaos in order to enslave us, distorted our brains to morally degrade us, faces off against each other while they move the pieces on the global chessboard, directing the hordes. I don't come to bring peace, I was sent with a sword, a truth to get you mentally ready for war. Step forth if you got the balls to call out these tyrants, or submit your compliance through silence, cause in this filthy system ain't a single soul to trust. It ain't right versus left, it's a state versus us. This is for the world, this is for the masses, attached to the strings being pulled by puppet masters. This is for the youth, searching for the proof, keep on looking for the clues, I'll provide you with some truth. This is for the ones waking up from the spell, beginning to discover themselves. Yeah, this is for the youth, searching for the truth, keep on looking for the clues, I'll provide you with some proof. This is for the world. Yeah.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of A Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth. I am your host, James Cordiner. My website is freeyourmindne.com. Maybe you're watching the show there tonight. If you are, thank you. So today is June 4th, 2022. I want to, thank everybody who listens and watches the show. If you're watching live or if you're listening to the replay, thank you for your support. Thanks Joe Murray for the intro music. Go check out his stuff, everybody, at freedomforall.online. And speaking of Joe Murray, he and I are putting together a conference. The conference is called Shattering the Illusion, and we are going to be putting that on September 24th, 2022. It's only a few months from now. It will be a one-day online event about natural law, true anarchy, consciousness, mind control, and the occult. We're going to have a debut of a new track from Diesel Automatic featuring Joe Murray. The speakers that we're featuring at the conference, I mean, my God, like this is just, I say it every week, folks. This is just amazing. I look at this list. I say it to myself all the time, just how just crazy it is that all of these great speakers have signed on and committed to producing some great talks and some great topics for this conference. We have Chris Jansen, Ivan Oyola Jr., myself, James Cordiner, Jennifer Rose. It's her first ever public speaking event. Joe Murray, Mark Devlin, Mark Passio, Nathan Redette, Sean McCann, and Will Keller. To learn more about that, just go to shatteringtheillusion.info and check out the bios. if you go to the speakers page there, if you want to learn more or hear more from each one of those speakers to kind of get an idea of what you're going to be hearing from them when the conference does come, you can just click on their avatar, their picture on the speakers page, and off you go to their website. It's a great event that we're putting on, Joe and I can't thank the speakers enough for participating. And speaking of speakers, that brings me to my guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined by none other than the great Will Keller from Natural Freedom League. And so, without any further ado, Will, how's it going, bud?
I'm doing great, brother. Thanks for the lovely pronouns, man. The great Will Keller. That's
Yeah, it
awesome,
sounds
man.
like
And
pretty
it's a
nice.
pleasure to be on your show, brother. I really love what you're doing. The Shattering the Illusion conference is going to be phenomenal, and you're the real deal, man. Action. That's what
Yeah,
it's about.
yeah, and it's the conference is really just supposed to like help people and to get people motivated to start doing this themselves, to start taking it upon themselves to like really learn the principles and you know be responsible for themselves, because that's what we're really here to spread around is like the knowledge and the action, trying to get people to take responsibility for their own actions so that other people don't feel the need to stop people abdicating that responsibility onto others. It's a big problem.
Oh
it's a
yeah,
it's a big
for sure.
problem for sure. I
It
thank you
definitely is.
personally, for signing on and participating, man. I had a lot to say in the intro, but thank you very much. It means a lot to me, and I'm happy to have made a friend here with Will. And people that have listened to this show for a while, Will's been on the show before. If you haven't listened to the show, go back and check out some of the stuff that Will and I have talked about, and go check out the rest of his stuff too. And yeah. So, anyways, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing
Yeah,
great. We always have good convos. It flows smooth, and I'm excited to dive into some stuff tonight. So yeah, man. Again, thanks for having me.
nice.
Appreciate it.
What's the shirt say this evening? What do we
The
got?
shirt says, "I will not censor myself to comfort your ignorance."
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good shirt, man. I like wearing shirts with a message. I have really good success actually out in public wearing shirts like this. A lot of people actually stop me and read my shirt, and then I can engage in conversation. Um, it's great. It's like I'm a walking billboard.
Yeah. Yeah. I wear, some shirts that get some. I wore one today we were in a massive event, a kind of wheels and wings type of event at a local airport up where I live. And it's just one of those things where like they bring the bouncy house and they bring the fire trucks and the police cars and the garbage trucks and the old, antique cars. You can go around, look in the engine compartments of the antique cars, and the kids can climb over all over the trucks and play in the bouncy house. They got all sorts of vendors and stuff there. And here I am walking around this event with a huge anarchy symbol on my shirt with the definition. Thanks to Sean McCann for making that shirt. I got the definition of anarchy on the back, and here's all these statists looking at me kind of like, who the hell is this guy? Like, I have six heads.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up talking to some of the politicians that were there, because it was like this weird event. Like, there were people there on the campaign trail, and I was talking to them, and I was like, are you gonna, I was talking to one group, and I was like, do you guys realize the inherent like immoral nature of government, that you can't. I was telling them all about, like, I like what you're talking about. I like how you're saying, because of the whole stepwise progression of taking it all down. I was telling them all about how I liked that they're at least making some sort of effort to make these bastards pay somehow. But I
Hmm.
was just trying to tell them about, like, you realize that like there's no greater law than natural law, that we literally don't have the right to tell another man what to do or another woman what to do. We don't have the authority to do that. It's just, and they were like, huh, yeah, that makes sense. And I was in the moment. I was a little bit more concise in what I was talking, like how I was speaking with them, but going through the paces with them, and it was they were like, "Huh, yeah, that makes sense." It's like, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been doing a lot of in-person public speaking events, and I actually like it. I like it a lot. Like 30, anywhere from 20 to 40 people, and personal setting. Uh, I got a few of them coming up. I've done a few of them just recently, and I love it. I love being in front of people where I can look people in their eyes, and we can have that back and forth in person. It's a great feeling. It's a great opportunity to educate. A lot of people agree with a lot of the things I talk about: objective morality, natural rights, um, even the laws of nature. When I explain it to them, they agree with it. They have trouble when you start to apply it to the world, right? When you start getting into
Mm.
the current human condition and saying, well, why do we have government? How come government can delegate rights that they themselves don't have? These human beings that call themselves government, and that's where people have probably a little more rocky time with it. I think obviously due to programming and conditioning and being um, addicted and dependent on the system. That's a full blown paradigm shift. Um, but people are nodding their heads like, "Oh yeah, yeah, right." When I explain what a right is, right? Any action that does not cause harm to another sentient being. Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And I even give them scenarios, right? Like I can't go to my neighbor and take some of his earnings. I can't get my friends together and say, we are the
Right.
neighborhood um, fixer uppers, and we're deducting, 25-35% of your income to do whatever we please to see fit. And they agree with all this stuff, but then when you apply it to the world, to what's actually going on in reality, people start getting a little edgy. But having some really good experiences. I love doing a combination of content online and in-person events. That's kind of that's where my groove is, my niche. So
A lot of the ways that I've like been inspired to really speak to people in person have been, not only through conversations and people approaching me while I'm wearing a t-shirt or whatever, but when I first saw you and John out there with your information and being very peaceful in the times that you and I have even talked about it, and people were claiming or accusing, however you want to, accusing you guys of being Trump supporters or whatever, and you kind of just shrugged it off and laughed it off, like, "Nah, dude, it's that type of stuff that we really need to do. We need to." And I was telling Joe Murray and Ivan when the three of us met up and we sat down together a few weeks ago, I was saying like this part of it's important, like being on the mic, that's important, right? Because it's just the ripples. They get throwing a stone into a pond, right? And that's going to create ripples, and those ripples have a reach, but they dissipate. Well, this technology that we have just furthers the reach of those ripples,
mhm.
and I appreciate it, and it's an important tool to have. But I think that there's a lot of people in our online community that get caught up in too much of this, of the online interaction part. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't know a lot of them in real life. I think I'm wrong. I maybe overspoke, maybe I overstepped my bounds there by claiming that. But I, at the same time, just want to kind of remind everyone that's in this community that, this is great what we're doing, how Will and I are speaking, how Will speaks to his guests, and so on and so forth, how we spread the word, those ripples reach further with this technology. But we really need to take action in our communities. We really need to reach out to our neighbors, the people that we run into at the store, because it's these people that are closest, obviously closest to us, and that we're going to impact even greater with this. If you want to
Mm.
see change in the world, right, you actually got to go into the world. We don't see the results over a computer,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
absolutely. I mean, I think it's really important. Obviously, it's always, it starts internally, right? And then it radiates outwards. So it starts with yourself, and then you can bring it online and within your local community. I mean, I'm constantly looking just for opportunities in general to have a discussion with people. I think the kind of the key is how you respond versus react. going out there, especially in San Francisco, John and Chris and, my whole crew would get together and we go out there with the signs and stuff. That was a great, great experience. We had the whole gambit. We reached some people, we inspired some people. Some people got extremely aggressive, called us names and all this stuff, called us murderers because we were out there without a mask and, this kind of shit. And
Oh,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
what it did was it allowed us to practice our communication and the internal environment when someone's, whatever direction they come at you, you gotta remain balanced and respond versus react. And we gained a lot of experience doing those things. It helps out a lot because doing this work can definitely beat you down at times and wear you out. You got to take care of yourself. You got to stay grounded, centered, and make sure you do some self-care, because you're not going to do any great work if you yourself aren't adequate, capable, healthy, clear-minded, all of these things. It's extremely important. But yeah, it's kind of, doing a balance, and I think to each their own as well, right? This is, how I see part of the great work, is discovering who you are and what your talents and attributes are, right? Not everyone can
Yeah.
sit at the computer like this and do video podcasts. Maybe someone wants to do a blog, or, there's people behind the scenes as well. Look at Mark's show. He's got producers and stuff, or, when he had his full-blown live show session going on. I even have a friend that I call her my manager because she's a good friend of mine, and she's like booking me all these gigs. And I'm like, that's awesome. There's multiple facets and attributes that people can step into to contribute to the one great work. So I think it's important to understand what you're good at and find your niche, your individual niche, and then go for it.
Yeah, find what motivates you and apply that to it, right?
Definitely.
Apply that motivation and into the great work, and the world could wind up being such a better place, because it needs, something needs to change, and we've tried a lot of things, us little humans, we've tried a lot of different things in the past, and we haven't really tried anarchy. we we haven't really tried the natural law route. I think that maybe there's been a few attempts, but we've never really given it its, its due.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I called this episode in the show card, I called it Light Up the Darkness, because I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit more about, um, looking at the tough stuff while keeping more of a positive mental attitude, and being able to, take that stuff in, and what's the word I'm looking for? To scrutinize it and to look at it, but not stay there, not get trapped there. And like how can we, because it's getting the mire, the muck and the mire is getting thicker and thicker as time goes on. Um, it's been fucked up for a long time. A lot of people are starting to realize it now, and they're like, how could it get this bad? And it's like, well, I got news for you, sweetheart. It's been this bad for a long time. It's just now you're just kind of realizing it. And next thing you know, you get all these people going, oh my God, the world is so terrible. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. And it makes it worse. But it is important to look at this stuff that could make you frightened. It's important to do that. In my opinion, you got to do it. You got to. There's no way around it. We're not going to get through it without acknowledging what is fucked up. But I also see the possibility. I know people in my personal life that are stuck there, and then there are also people that are like, well, I also know people in my personal life that are like, well, it's so fucked up. What can I do about it? And I
Mm.
kind of wanted to, like, because you're, you're, you're always, you're always more of a motivational type of dude, like getting people to go, hey, we got this, So that's why I wanted to call this episode Light Up the Darkness, was because I think that we owe, we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to others that we speak to and people that listen to us, like kind of maybe some tips on like what do you do? Let me just ask you, like, when you're like, oh, looking at something that's crazy and completely fucked from head to toe, what do you do to go, okay, let's keep going, let's keep pushing forward, like not throw your hands up in the air and give up.
Mm. Yeah, great topic. Good question. I've always been very much in my head, in my imagination. And I don't mean like overly airy, overly thinking about things. I'm talking about more about imagination. Even as a kid, extremely imaginative. Um, and I am today as well, but I've learned how to kind of harness it and transmute it to look at all scenarios. And I think this is something that people need to think about. And you can kind of consider it wargaming in your head, right? Or just playing out scenarios. Um, I do a good reality check too. I mean, I get stressed out. I'm a fairly grounded individual naturally, um, and I kind of know my body really well. I know when I need to take time and get my feet and my hands in the garden and kind of center myself and ground myself again. Um, but obviously, knowing yourself for sure. Excuse me. But playing out these scenarios in your head, even when you're right too. First of all, we have to look at the dark shit, right? We got to take the black pill and then turn it into the gold pill, into action. We have to face the darkness, um, and this is where understanding suffering and pain. Suffering is when pain gets too much to bear, and then you're suffering. Pain is just discomfort, and you know discomfort is where the lessons are. So I don't mind being uncomfortable. I seek these scenarios, these situations in a way for learning to better myself, to gain knowledge and transmute that into wisdom. So I might be a little more strong-headed for a lot of people as far as, looking at some of the dark shit that's going on. But this is where the wargaming and the scenarios come into play, because I've already played and actualized many different scenarios in my head on how shit would go down. And I don't mean this in a way like where you get stuck on thinking of end of the world scenarios. I'm talking about, all kinds of things, even when it comes to my own personal work, right? You laying out plans and goals, you imagine how you want it to unfold and lay out, and what direction you want to go to it, or, take it to. This is pretty much redirecting energy and then figuring out what's the easiest path to take. So you can play these scenarios out in your head on multiple things: health, home life, parenting, all kinds of things. And it's good for people to do that, because once you've kind of played it out in your head, you're more prepared for it. I think a lot of people get caught off guard on a lot of things, and they get into reaction mode, emotionally reactive. Even with the new narratives coming out, right? People are, I mean, it's strange how so many people focus on these new narratives after we've already been through all this shit multiple times, right? It's like, look, this is the same cul-de-sac. So there's a lot of energy being wasted in the community, right? It's just that the next dialectic that's up to bat, people completely focus and throw all their attention in there, which that's the whole purpose of it, right? It's just siphoning your energy and your motivation. So you got to step back and detach a little bit, recognize it, but then detach. And what are you doing in your own personal life to create change and to help the situation? So it's a little bit of grounding, keeping your feet on the ground as well. So those are a couple, techniques and things that I do personally. I do think, people have to discover this within themselves. So yeah, that's my take.
Well, thank you. That was great. I really liked what you said about imagination there, and how you made the distinction between like living in fairy tale land and actually, but like not using the imagination in that sense so much as you're using the imagination to kind of map out, like what's going on and where could it go from here?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're here now. Where could we be in 20, 30 days or
Mhm.
a year, and how can I prepare for that? Do real work to prepare for that. That's great.
Exactly,
Thank
and that can, again, what you just said can be used with everything, right? I'm
Yeah.
at this point in my health. I want to get to that point, and you imagine the steps and the whole process, and on you actually getting there. You can do that with technology and content. You can do that on survival wargaming, self defense. I think with self defense, wargaming is
Oh,
huge.
yeah.
Right? That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
you want to do. I mean, how many people have actually thought about if someone comes into your house, breaks into your house and your home and your kids are in the bed? I've done that scenario many times in my head. I'm prepared for what, if that situation ever happens. I mean, so it's, I mean, wargaming is the word that I choose when it comes to self-defense type of things. But it's all imagination, the imagination, which is also creativity. This is the life force expression, creativity. This is what we need to activate and transmute and redirect. I look at, I mean, the whole human experience is redirecting energy. The whole human experience. That's all we're doing, constantly redirecting energy as we grow, we evolve or de-evolve, or I mean, go through life, the journey of life. It's moving energy and transitioning energy and all of this kind of stuff. Um, so it's another good way to look at it.
Yeah, like how these principles that we've learned over the years or however long, that vibrate the principle of vibration. It talks all about energy, and that energy can never truly be destroyed. It just changes from one form to another, where that matter becomes a different type of matter,
Mm,
and it just transitions from one form to another. And another point about the imagination is now that, and since I brought up principles, why not go right to mentalism? That the universe is literally like created through thought, and everything that's been created was first a thought. It was created through an imagination, and that's an extremely powerful tool that I think a lot of people have kind of put by the wayside, because they're kind of you know. They're kind of corralled into these boxes,
mm,
and it reminds me of that movie 300 where they're like protecting this one narrow pathway, right? And it's like the people have just been hoarded into that narrow pathway, just to just to kind of throw in a movie analogy out there real quick. But I I, I think that the imagination is extremely important. I don't want to get caught up on that too much because we don't have a lot of time, but I just really appreciate you talking about that on the show tonight.
oh
But
yeah, it's
I,
huge.
I really like that. It's the way out. It's the way out. I always tell people, when I'm going through the paces with them and I'm telling them about, natural law, and I'm speaking to them about anarchy and everything like that. They go, but this, and I just go, just use your imagination. You know, I mean, of course, there's real world stuff that we have to do, that we have to take upon ourselves and be responsible for. But as far as like the how is this going to work or what about that, it's just well, just use your imagination. Think
Hmm.
about what the possibilities would be with unbridled freedom under objective morality, and like practicing that, like where it's like, yeah, that's like the one rule. It's like you can't go initiating harm against another sentient being.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Like, sorry, you can't be a bad person. But you can defend yourself until the cows come home, or whatever you want to say. It's really that simple. It's
Yeah.
really just that simple. It's just the imagination. you
It,
know
it it also it shows a lot about someone when you're talking about the state of freedom, anarchy.
Oh yeah.
Where they
Yeah.
immediately go, oh well, how would this work, and what are you going to do about the bad guys, and all this kind of stuff, right? I mean, they're clearly in a fear-based state of mind and consciousness, right?
Yeah.
I had a guy
Well,
just quick,
it definitely shows their concerns for sure.
yeah.
You know, when they start rattling off questions like, "How about this?" or "What about that? Why is this?" and "How you gonna do that?" Is, well, that okay, so now we kinda know a little bit more about what you're concerned about. So, what would and then I would say, why don't you flip it around on them and say, "Well, what would you do? Don't ask me. What would you do? I'm the
Mhm,
one posing that there would be unbridled freedom under natural law. What would you do in those situations? Why don't you use your imagination and maybe together your imagination can spark a solution to those problems because you're free to think about it and you're
mhm.
free to act upon it. Are those things that you're concerned about things that initiate harm against another sentient being? No? Okay, let's suss it out. Let's see what you got. What are you going to bring to the table? And maybe we can work together and make something happen. Or the answer to the question is yes, it does initiate harm. Well, you can't do that. Sorry. Anarchy doesn't mean no rules. It just means no rulers. And that's, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but that
No,
just
no, that
popped
was
into my
great.
head and I was
Yeah.
just like, I got to say this. So please
That
continue.
that's a real good point. I'll say too, the Socratic method, asking someone questions to stimulate critical thinking. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
That's one of my go-to techniques. I know Larkin Rose and Amanda, they use that in their Candles in the Dark seminar, the Socratic method. It's phenomenal. If anyone that's listening does not know about the Socratic method, look into it, utilize it, practice it. It's great because a lot of times what I've noticed with talking with people is a good portion of it you're reeling them back in, right? Because their mind immediately goes left field and they get into just fear-based ideas and concepts, and you have to bring them back down, right, to the basics, the fundamentals of like rights, and remind them like, look, probably about 90% of your day you're voluntarily interacting with human beings the majority of your day, right? No one has a gun to you, talking to you right now, or going to the grocery store or anything like that.
They're
Um,
behind the curtain.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I've used this technique many times, and it helps people kind of, they get a little more grounded, and they're like, okay, gotcha. The common thing that people say is, okay, we're talking about morality. If you have your best friend on the railroad track on the right, and then you have 10 people you don't know on the other railroad track, who do you save? It's like, dude, that's never gonna happen, man. Like that's just the ego, like grasping for these scenarios that will never happen in reality.
It's just mental
So
gymnastics. It
mental
really,
gymnastics,
yeah.
exactly.
I had, well, what about holding the door open for a little old lady trying to enter a store? If you don't do that, she could get hurt. It's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. It's not that I don't understand what you're saying. It's just your point is so retarded. I can't even start to think about what you're saying. Like, I don't know what
Hmm.
you're trying to say.
Yeah,
That's not harm. It's not harm. Sorry.
yeah.
It's not. You can be rude and not cause harm. Sorry, you know?
Exactly. 2 days ago, I got some guy that said, "Well, what if someone's on my lawn?" And I'm like, "Okay,
And
and what, do you want him to not be on your lawn?" He was like, "Yeah." What do I do? I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Well, you can go ask him, "Hey, can I help you?" Or, "You're on my property," and try to get him to move on, engage in conversation. He was getting at, well, if I can't call the cops will remove him, right? Then he was getting that, this is never going to work. And it just shows you the lack of responsibility. It's like, look,
yeah,
someone's standing on your lawn and you don't know what they're doing. You're telling me you won't go out there and try to ask them, hey, what's up? What's going on?
yeah.
And, again, people are attached and dependent on these systems. So starting with the basics is super important, and
That's
and having an eclectic array of knowledge as well, right?
yeah.
Ready for all questions.
last Tuesday night, this previous Tuesday night, just to let the listeners in a little bit about what's going on with me in the real world here. I'm just a human guy. I got responsibilities. I got a house to upkeep and everything. We're getting a new roof put on my house. I'm the owner of the house. Like I'm not ashamed to admit it. I am the owner of the house. I do what I got to do to keep the house. I got kids, man. I got these little kids. So we're getting a roof put on the house. So I'm expecting some guy in a work van to show up. And next thing I know, this strange car just pulls into my driveway. And I jet out the door and I go, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey, can I help you? What's up? What's up? What's going on?" He's like, "Oh," and the guy was like shook a little bit. He's like, "Oh, I'm here from the roofing company." I was like, "Oh, dude, come on in." Like, and it's just that simple. You gotta kind of puff your chest out a little bit, and assert yourself. But those situations can, and 9 times out of 10, the person's completely unaware. Like they're just doing their thing, or
Yeah,
it's just that simple.
absolutely.
Just go ask questions. What are you afraid? I'd say, what are you afraid to interact with people for? Why are
I
you afraid to interact with people?
a lot of people are, especially from the last couple years, right? People are
Oh yeah, yeah.
scared shitless still. It's, I mean, there's that scary boogeyman, going around, and
The booger
people
man.
are the booger man. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, it's crazy. We have lost or forgotten, I should say, what it means to be human for a lot of people, right? Um, Connection, interaction, communication, all of these things, responsibility, the basics, and it's hard for a lot of people. And I think people, especially when they're doing the great work, it's good to not focus your energy on individuals trying to reach certain people. Like, oh, I can't reach my sister, it's driving me crazy. This is where stepping into yourself and your true potential and acting on it, right? You're going to get people that radiate with you and vibe on you, on your frequency, and they're going to come to you. People are going to come to you when you put yourself and you take the action and you put yourself in situations and create content. People are going to find you for sure. And this is something that we need to do. This is another thing that is important to take a lot of the stress off. People, they get almost broken because they can't reach their family. It's like, look, your family is going to be most likely the last people that are going to hear you out. They already have a perceived notion of who you are in their head, and it's going to be really tough.
Mhm.
But stepping into your sole purpose and who you truly are, and activating that, then they might see that from a distance, and then really get a taste of who you become. So
Yeah, I mean, once you start putting these things into action, I've experienced this, and it took a little while to get there, and I'm still, kind of experiencing it in small doses as we go along, but it's happening more frequently as I go along. Um, Putting these principles into action have produced such great results, and it's almost like you're leading by example by living it.
mm,
And if you and by doing that, you're attracting so much goodness. And the people around you who would ignore your words start seeing your actions, and they start seeing the results, and they start wondering to themselves, I wonder how that happened to him. I wonder how he got there. And maybe they come poke you on the shoulder and they say, "Hey, you've turned your shit around. What happened?" And you go, "Oh, well, you got like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe I can sit down with you and tell you about objective morality,
mm.
tell you about natural law and these principles real quick. And if I can do it quick, maybe I can do just enough to get you to come back next week and we can talk about it a little bit further." But I've been noticing that, what you said about the words, you lose people sometimes. There's a brand of person, there's a demographic that don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't fucking care. And that's another thing that maybe we can spend a few minutes before you have to go. We can talk about the element of care.
Yeah.
That's important. We can cram a lot in. You and I are
Mhm.
good like that.
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
know, but like I see a lot of people, they don't give a shit about words. They don't care about that. Um, but once you start actually showing them, hey, I got some good things going in my life, and they're like, well, how'd that? You used to be a shithead. How'd that happen? And you're like, well, I turned my life around, and I learned about the natural law principles, and I learned about anarchy and objective morality, really. And once I started getting my actions right, good things started coming my way. These synchronicities started happening where, it enabled me to progress even further and making my life a better situation, not only for myself, but the people in my immediate surrounding, my family members, like my children, my wife. That's what I mean, my immediate family now. And my extended family, I am one of those people where I'm like like pulling my hair out, going, "Why won't you people listen to me?" Sometimes I feel like that,
Mm,
and I
yeah.
try to wedge it in there a little bit, and it just seems like I'm just talking to a brick wall,
Hmm.
talking to one of my family members about gun rights like a week and a half ago or something like that. And I don't want to talk about this tonight because we don't have the time. But I was just before these couple of mass shootings that happened recently. And I was talking to this family member about gun rights, and they were like, "Oh, why would you need an AR-15? Why would you need that type of?" And I'm just going through, like I keep saying, the paces. I'm going through it. I'm just like, because, because of this and that and the other points, like all the the repertoire, the classic points to make, where it's just like the hard hitting ones. Boom, boom, boom. Ignore that one. Tell me I don't need to do that. Let me send you a picture of my kids, and and that's enough. That's enough of a reason to need some way to defend myself and
Hmm.
them. You know, and it's just they don't want to hear it. I don't know, but
Yeah.
you want to change it up. Let's talk about that. Let's start talking about some care here. And
Yeah. I like what you said about words. Um, Communication is vital. It's extremely important, but comprehension is key. Is a motto that I hold. And what that means is that you can communicate all day, but if the person is not comprehending the message, then it's wasted time, right? So this is how we need to use the lost art of reduction and start very simply by simplifying the profound. But my philosophy is that if I can't explain it to my 9-year-old daughter, right, then I need to refine my grammar,
yeah,
right, and my
yeah,
rhetoric. And so we have to start simple. When I say a word like truth and I don't define it, then whatever the person that's listening to me, whatever perceived mental definition they have of truth, that's what they roll with, and they might not be getting the core of the message or know what I'm explaining. So going to words, even talking with family and stuff like that, it's unfortunately, we're speaking to like 5-year-olds, you know, on a information, on a knowledge level, and that's a fact, right? You can call them normies and all that stuff. I don't use these words, but ultimately, on a knowledge and wisdom, the majority of
mm,
people, 100% do not have wisdom, and they do not have correct knowledge of reality, of the self, of the mind. So they're spiritual infants, spiritual children. So you literally have to be able to, talk to a 6-year-old, 5 or 6-year-old when you're explaining this stuff to them.
yeah,
Because a lot of people are in that hypnagogic state of the mind where they're just repeating stuff that they've heard off the TV, off social media. They're not using the frontal lobe of the higher order thinking and using the trivium process or critical thinking and problem solving to really hash out the any concepts. And it creates an internal contradiction because they don't really know it. So they just like, yep, I believe what that person says, and they just parrot it off. Having care is extremely important, obviously, as you know. I care deeply for what's going on. I care deeply about people, about humans. And this is something that I've had for a while, is I see potential. I see potential in humanity, and I see potential in individuals and in my past relationships, which, I mean, it's burned me in the past, because you can get attached to potential. Who you see the potential of someone or a situation, and you get attached to it. That might be an unhealthy amount of care. So honing it in and bringing it back to reality and being realistic. So I'm a realist, and I'm slightly an optimist as well. But I take the realism first, and to get an accurate perception, a gauge of what's going on in reality. So the care again starts internally, right? And it starts with just basic questions. What do you care about? What do you truly care about? Because these questions will ultimately tell you where your energy is going and where your energy should go. To kind of bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, right? The redirection of energy. This goes hand in hand with care. I mean, time in this reality, unfortunately, ultimately, time is an illusion. But in this reality, we're talking about the currency of time and attention, which is energy. So this is extremely important. If you have friends, or some people are just not going to get it this lifetime. They're not. So are you dumping mass amounts of time and attention into trying to wake up your friend that hasn't even done the initial steps of being open-minded to the concepts and to the message that you're talking about? Then unfortunately, people are wasting their energy. They're wasting their currency. So this, asking these basic questions of what do I care about? And care and mentalism are one and the same, right?
Yeah.
Because what we focus on is also what we care about. And this is really important to also bring it back to mentalism. So they go hand in hand. So I even talk to myself like a 6-year-old sometimes. I mean, meaning someone's going to take this soundbite and and fuck me up with this, but listen to what I'm saying first.
Okay, Will,
Meaning
proceed.
that I communicate internally with myself very, very simply and clear and basic, right? I can get deep in my thought process philosophically, but also bring it down to the basics of like, what do I care about today? What am I truly putting my energy towards? Where's the lack of care and the lack of attention and energy going? So
Right.
these are just simple questions that you could ask your child. It's like, what have you been doing most today? And watching TV or whatever they say, and shows where the energy is going. So it's a very simplistic dialogue, internal dialogue that one has. And this whole topic, I'm trying not to give too much of my Shattering the Illusion presentation away, because the presentation is called Internal Ecology: The Art of Living Wisely. And this is going to be deep internal wisdom and knowledge, and self-care that I've learned over the years. So the internal environment. It's a great topic, man. It's highly important. And this is the kind of stuff that I think about within myself on a regular basis. And I think people need to do that, because it will start to show you characteristics and what you've been doing lately with your energy, where you can see, bad habit. This is becoming a bad habit. This is becoming a bad routine. I'm putting too much energy in there. The new season of Stranger Things 4 is awesome, but fuck, I can't binge watch it. I got to take breaks. So, real world solutions. So it's good stuff.
Wow. That
Went on
was
a
amazing.
rant, but
That was an amazing rant. That was an amazing rant. Thank you. I hope some people
awesome.
out there that hear that really just like internalize it and at least motivate them to at least start thinking.
I know,
Like
right? Yeah.
because that's where it all like I like how you connected the dots there with mentalism and the care.
Mm-hmm.
That was really great, and it was like it's staring you right in the face, but you were there to connect the dots for us tonight. That was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, for sure,
Because
brother.
it like we talked about earlier about motivating, what motivates this individual, figuring out the motivational part of it, and I mean, that's what they care about, and that's what's going to influence their thoughts, and downstream
Mm.
from that is their emotions and actions, and it's those three things that we need to unify and bring together in balance and harmony, however many different ways I can really put it, to actually like produce, some real change. I don't
Good
think
point.
that I don't think that there's really a lot of people out there where their care lies in harm. I don't believe that. I think that those types of people do exist where they do get their jollies off on harming people, and I think those people are called the government. But I don't think that there is a really, really large portion of people like you and I where what they care about is how they can screw over somebody else, right?
I
I think
agree.
I think that people are caught up in a rat race for sure, and ancillary to that, they do end up screwing people over and hurting people, but I really just don't think that that's where their intentions lie. I think they are Satanists for sure, that they have the mini me Satanism aspect going, but I don't know, man. It can't be. I don't know. It just can't be. I have an extreme amount of faith in the goodwill, the good nature of people, and I see people and I just go, maybe I'm confused too. Maybe there's a lot to learn. There's always something to learn, but I see a lot of people and I go, well, they're they got their priorities mixed up for sure. But I don't think that they wake up every morning and go, oh, who can I hurt today?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Unfortunately, their care lies in ignorance, and ignorance is the Achilles heel of humanity.
Powerful.
Right? The
That
Achilles heel. It's a small, very small location on the body, but yet critical. If you take out the Achilles heel, you're completely immobilized. You can't
mhm.
move. You can't do nothing. So this is what, if we look at the world, because we can look at the aggregate, the collective, and it's a direct reflection of the individual, the average individual. So we see where their care lies. It lies within ignorance, because ignorance is easy and it's lazy, and it's and being a victim, right? A victim of being incarnated in this reality, that is irresponsible and easy and comfortable for people. It's like I didn't
Wow.
incarnate in this reality to be comfortable. I incarnated here to learn and have a fucking adventure, right? To grow
Yeah.
and evolve. Like fucking A, man. We see this. This is what happens in the natural world. I mean, nature. Like we look at human beings, think they're the apex of creation, and you look at the natural world, man. We're leaps and bounds away from nature. She doesn't fuck around. She is the adventure, and people have forgotten this. So it's not really about learning something new. It's about remembering and activating.
We got work to do for
That we
sure.
do, absolutely. And
Yeah. Each
you have kids, and you understand that we're planting seeds, not to bear its fruit or sit in its shade, but so our kids can. And this is what it's
bingo.
about. People are so attached to the outcome. I want anarchy fucking now. Anarchy. First of all, anarchy is an effect. By the time we recognize anarchy, we have already been, somewhat a moral society. Anarchy is the effect of the cause. The cause is living in harmony with natural law, being moral human beings.
Yeah.
So people are attached to the end result. and it's, this is going to take time, lifetimes. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we got to get it on.
Yeah, who was it? Hyacinth Loyson said that we are something along the lines of our goal is to uh, plant trees whose shade we will never sit in, and that, my friends, is what we need to think about the future uh, for our children or the generations to come. To plant those trees for the shade that we will never sit in. You know, they say children are the future, but we make that future for them. Is what essentially that saying is supposed to get across. And
Exactly.
if anarchy truly means freedom, then that brings us to the last few minutes of our show. Please talk about freedom under natural law, the
Mm.
conference.
Yeah, man.
See how I tied that in?
Appreciate
That's
that.
great.
That was great, dude.
That was
Nice.
great. Wow.
That was smooth.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, dude. This is the second annual Funnel 2. The first one was just the creators were just the speakers and the presenters. So we said let's do it. Let's keep it moving, and do a number 2. We had so many people to choose from. So many great content creators. We are going to do more. So keep a lookout, James, and people listening. We're definitely going to do some more of these. But we have some phenomenal speakers. It's going down September 10th and 11th. It's a free online event. Go to freedomundernaturallaw.com. Excuse me. And the conference name is Convergence. And this is a great word. Convergence means, right? If you break it down, con, which means together, and then viargre it's Latin. I'm probably butchering it. It means to incline mentally, to unite mentally. It's talking about mentally, like in principles, right? To merge together on principles. And then you have gents, which is generating action. So the whole theme of it is unity, focus, action, convergence, freedom under natural law. So it's going to be dope. I'm excited for it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, my presentation is good. It's titled "Revolt Against the Modern World and the Return to Nature," and it's going to be it's going to be a very surprising presentation from the title. So don't judge a presentation by its title. It's going to be impactful. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, man. Oh, hashtag me too. So, yeah.
That's good.
A little inappropriate. Whatever, though. Who cares?
Another topic that's popular, actually. We're about to hop on my live stream in a little bit, but we're going to kind of be touching on some of that type stuff.
Yeah. So people that want to go from here, because we're going to end in just a couple minutes. But people that want to go from here to hear more from Will tonight, and just about 15 minutes from now, you can go to onegreatworknetwork.com, and that's the easiest place for me to be able to send you folks to watch his live stream that him and John do every Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is obviously 7 p.m. on the Pacific Coast. So, go from here. It's going to be great. I'm going to actually be starting to be on the One Great Work Network live streaming there. Will and I are both content creators over there at the network, and it's a phenomenal thing that Mark Basio has set up. I've been calling it lately the Baskin Robbins of truth, where you can go there and you can literally peruse through the content creators and find the person that speaks the same language as you, so to speak. You might even find
flavor for everyone, right?
Flavor for everyone. There's people that even speak different languages, so you could literally find someone that speaks the same language as you if you don't speak English as your first language. So yeah, there's 60 content creators on the network at the moment, and Mark is adding more as time goes on. He's got no limit in sight of a cap where he's like, oh, we're going to reach 100. And no, he's looking for everyone that's out there talking about objective morality and natural law and everything. So if this describes you, you can email me, or reach out to one of the other content creators, or even Mark Passio himself, although he is a very, very busy man. But in any case, if you're a content creator and what you focus on is objective morality and natural law, make your voice heard a little louder, and perhaps we can get you in the lineup over there as well. Who knows? You're doing the work. We can just help, extend a hand. That's how I got on the network. I'm not going to lie. My friend Joe, he was like, "Hey, you're coming with me." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And that's how it happened for me. So, that's great. So we're going to call it. It's been an hour, dude. That flew by.
Awesome. Yeah. That's how it happens, man. When you and I get together, we have great convo. I'm honored to be on here, man. I love the work that you're doing. I'm glad you're on the One Great Work Network. Keep doing your thing, man. You're consistent in your evolution and the content you're putting out. And I'm honored to be on here.
Man.
Thanks, man.
I'm honored to have you, man. Really. I mean, let's pat each other on the back real quick, and and who knows, but like, I really, really appreciate your time and your attention. And I appreciate not only the part of that you've given me this evening, but the bigger part of that you've given that you've given to everybody, and that you're really a person who I look up to. And among a lot of other people that I get to talk to, I look up to a lot of people, and you're one of them, man. And I really appreciate that you've motivated me, and that means that other people can be motivated too, because I still find myself in pits of laziness, but I was really, really bad. And like, I've been trying to improve. So
it's one step at a time, man.
Hey, that's
one
all it
step
is.
at a time.
That's all it is,
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the Shattering the Illusion conference. Thanks for having me on there too.
Yeah, man. So freedomundernaturallaw.com, naturalfreedomleague.com, right?
Yep,
all right.
You got it.
So those links will be in the show notes. So if you're watching the replay, look down at the show notes, click on those links, go check out Will's conference and his website as well, and really look into some of his work. He has such great conversations with so many wonderful fucking people out there. It's amazing what him and John do with Natural Freedom League, and it's just a fun time. And look out, because I'm actually coming over and hanging out with you guys in a few weeks, so that's gonna be fun.
No doubt.
And it'll be like a double header again, in a different type of way. But as I like to kind of close out the shows, I like to talk a lot about bringing people together, about coming to understandings and everything like that. But tonight I feel a little different. I kind of want people to get angry. I want people to realize what's going on and how badly they're being treated, and I want them to come to a peaceful resolution about that. But it starts with anger, to start getting yourself motivated, because I think that's where we're at today, is that it's not going to happen by asking. It's going to happen by showing your teeth and making it happen for yourself. So that's what we need to really be focusing on. And, we got to keep in mind that we're not in this alone. So you got to be compassionate to people and understand their points of view at the same time. But what's going to motivate you? How many times are you going to get beaten before you stand up and say no more? You have to ask yourself those types of questions, and, prepare, play to win, and prepare in case we lose. So arm yourself and prepare to defend yourself. And it just, it's getting rough. I see it getting rough. And we have time, though. That's my last word here. We have time to turn it around and have a peaceful resolution to all this nonsense and really gain the true freedom that we deserve. So with that being said, thank you, Will.
Thanks, James.
Thank you for to the listeners, and we'll see you guys again some other time. Well, actually, no, we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. We'll see you next week. Thank you.